When Kwame Frimpong was about 16, Thomas came home to find his son sitting lazily on the couch, his school bag untouched. "Kwame, have you done your homework?" Thomas asked. Kwame scoffed. "Why do you care?" "Because I work hard to send you to school, and I want to see you succeed," Thomas said. Kwame laughed mockingly. "You work hard? Please, if you really worked hard, we wouldn't be living like this. Maybe if you had aimed higher in life, we would have had a better house, a better car. But you are just a carpenter. You have no right to tell me how to succeed." Thomas was stunned. His own son, the boy he had spent his entire life providing for, had just belittled him in his own house. For the first time, Thomas realized that his son did not just dislike him, he despised him. But instead of reacting in anger, Thomas took a deep breath and said, "You will understand one day, my son. I only hope that when that day comes, it won't be too late." Kwame Frimpong rolled his eyes. From that moment on, he stopped pretending to respect his father altogether. If Thomas even looked at him the wrong way, Kwame would say, "Don't look at me like that, old man." Evelyn, of course, encouraged this behavior. She would smirk in the background whenever Kwame insulted his father. She had what she wanted, her son's loyalty. When Kwame Frimpong finally left for university, he didn't even say goodbye to his father. He packed his bags, hugged his mother tightly, and walked out the door without looking back. Thomas stood at the entrance, watching his only son disappear. His heart ached, but he didn't stop Kwame. One day, he will know the truth. Thomas whispered to himself. Despite everything, Thomas continued to send money for Kwame's tuition. He took extra jobs, stayed up late, and worked harder than ever to make sure Kwame had everything he needed. Upon all these, Kwame Frimpong never appreciated it. To him, it was just his right. And as far as he was concerned, his mother was the only parent who mattered. Years passed, and Kwame Frimpong excelled in university. He was brilliant, ambitious, and determined to build a future far greater than what his father had ever achieved. With his sharp mind and relentless drive, he secured a high-paying job immediately after graduation. Wealth came quickly. He climbed the corporate ladder with ease, made powerful connections, and soon became one of the most successful businessmen in the city. Luxury surrounded him. But despite all his success, there was one person he had no interest in helping: his father. With his newfound wealth, Kwame Frimpong treated his mother like a queen. He bought her a grand mansion, complete with everything she had ever dreamed of. Every month, he sent her huge sums of money as allowance. "You suffered so much because of that useless man, Mom." Meanwhile, Thomas, the man who had sacrificed everything for Kwame's education and success, was left behind. Despite being wealthy, Kwame Frimpong never acknowledged his father's struggles. He saw Thomas as nothing more than a poor old man who had never achieved anything. Feeling some small obligation, he did buy his father a small house. Nothing fancy, just a modest space to keep him out of sight. But there was no love in this gesture. He never visited. He never called. He never asked if Thomas needed anything. Even when Thomas suffered stroke, Kwame barely showed concern. "He's an old man. Things like this happen," Kwame said dismissively when his mother told him about Thomas' condition. Evelyn, of course, didn't encourage him to check on his father. "He never cared for you, so why should you care for him?" She reminded Kwame, "Let him suffer alone, just like he made us suffer." And Kwame listened. On the rare occasions that Kwame did take his father out, it was never out of love. It was to show that he was, in quotes, helping a poor man. He would take Thomas to an expensive restaurant, but make him feel like a burden. "Don't embarrass me, old man," he would whisper harshly as he entered high-class establishments. At gatherings, he introduced Thomas in the most disrespectful way possible. "Oh, this is Thomas," he would say dismissively. "Yeah, he's my dad. I take care of him, even though he never did much for me." People who saw them together often thought Thomas was a distant relative or just a random elderly man Kwame was helping out of pity. And Thomas simply endured it. One evening, after another humiliating dinner, Thomas looked at his son and said, Kwame Frimpong, be careful how you treat me. A man who forgets the one who raised him will one day cry with regret. Kwame scoffed. Stop acting like you did something great for me. You were just a poor carpenter, old man. I got here because of myself, not because of you. Thomas sighed, shaking his head. You will understand one day. I just hope it won't be too late. Time passed and Thomas' health worsened. The stroke had left him weak, unable to move properly, and his once strong hands that had built Kwame's future, now trembled with every movement. Despite his struggles, Kwame never checked on him. The small house he had given his father felt more like a prison. No warmth, no love, just a place to exist until death took him. Loneliness consumed Thomas. He spent his days staring at the walls, thinking about the son he had raised, the sacrifices he had made, and the love he had given that was never returned. He had accepted that Kwame would never change. And so, with a heart full of sorrow and a body too weak to fight anymore, Thomas took his last breath. Alone. When the news of Thomas' death reached Kwame, his reaction was cold. Well, he was old and sick. He told his mother it was bound to happen. There was no grief, no pain, no sadness. Kwame Frimpong didn't even bother to see his father's body before it was buried. He had more important things to do. Business meetings, luxurious vacations, and taking care of his mother, the in quotes, only parent who ever loved him. The man who had given him everything was now buried in the ground, and Kwame felt nothing. But fate was not done with him yet, because the truth he had been blind to his entire life was about to come crashing down on him like a storm he never saw coming. Months passed after Thomas' death, and Kwame Frimpong continued living his luxurious life, unbothered by the loss of the man who had once been his father. He believed he had done enough. After all, he had bought the old man a house. One evening, Kwame received an unexpected visit from his maternal grandmother, Auntie B. She was an old woman, frail but still sharp-minded. Unlike her daughter Evelyn, she was a woman of wisdom and integrity. She sat across from Kwame in his grand living room, her eyes filled with disappointment. Kwame Frimpong, do you even realize what you have done? She asked, her voice heavy with emotion. Kwame frowned. Nana, what are you talking about? Auntie B sighed heavily. I came to tell you the truth about your father, the man you spent your whole life disrespecting, and this time, you will listen. Kwame shifted uncomfortably. Nana, I know the truth. My father was a poor man who did nothing for us. My mother was the only one who ever cared for me. Auntie B shook her head. No, Kwame, that is the lie your mother fed you. And you, blinded by her poison, never stopped to question it. Kwame scoffed. What are you trying to say? Auntie B took a deep breath before she spoke. Your father was the only reason you became the man you are today. Do you think your mother paid for your education? Do you think it was her money that sent you to the best schools? No, Kwame. It was your father. That same poor carpenter you looked down on, worked day and night to make sure you had a future. He barely slept. He sacrificed every comfort just to see you succeed. Kwame's heart began to pound, but he shook his head. That can't be true. Mom always said, your mom lied. Auntie B snapped, her voice filled with anger. She lied to you because of her own greed. She wanted you to hate your father so she could have you all to herself. She was never satisfied with the life your father gave her. Your father was a good man, Kwame. Kwame felt his breath hitch. His mind raced back to the moments from his childhood. The punishments, the lectures, the times his father scolded him. He had always thought Thomas was being cruel. But now, hearing these words, he realized something. His father wasn't being cruel. He was trying to guide him. He was trying to make him a better man. No, this can't be true, Kwame whispered, his voice shaking. It is true, my dear, Auntie B continued. And do you know what hurts the most? Your father never stopped loving you. Even after you humiliated him, he still loved you. Even on his deathbed, Kwame Frimpong, he still hoped that one day you would realize the truth. A heavy silence fell between them. Kwame's hands trembled. His throat felt dry. His chest tightened. His mind flashed back to the last time he had spoken to his father. You'll understand one day. I just hope it won't be too late. His father's last words to him. And now, he finally understood. But it was too late. Kwame's entire world came crashing down. No, that's not true, he cried. But the truth was undeniable. Few days later, Kwame Frimpong launched an investigation, speaking to his father's old friends, reading old letters, piecing everything together. And the more he learned, the more he realized the monster in the story was never his father. It was his mother. Thomas had done nothing but love and sacrifice for him. And how had he repaid him? With hatred, with cruelty, with humiliation. Kwame fell to his knees, screaming in agony. He had been blind. He had killed his father, not with his hands, but with his heartless treatment. Weeks after he found out the bitter truth, Kwame Frimpong threw his mother out of the mansion, cutting all ties with her. He blocked her and vowed never to let her into his life. But that did not ease his pain. Every single day, he visited his father's grave, kneeling in the dirt, weeping. Dad, I was blind. I let her turn me against you. Please forgive me. But there was no answer. No matter how much he cried, how much he wished, time could never be turned back. His father was gone, and all Kwame Frimpong had left was guilt. He would give away every penny, every mansion, every luxury just to have his father back, to say, Dad, I'm sorry. But it was too late. Now, this story teaches us the irreplaceable value of respect, especially towards our parents. We often take for granted the sacrifices and efforts they make for us, believing their actions are mere duties or obligations. However, the truth is that the love and care they give is priceless, and the consequences of ignoring or mistreating them can be severe. If this story touched your heart, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment below. Did this story make you reflect on your relationship with your own parents? Let's start a conversation and remind ourselves the importance of family and respect. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.